Lyndon Mack has now stepped fully into the role of the UNC's lapdog, abandoning the people he once claimed to defend. Instead of standing up for truth, justice, and the cries of ordinary citizens, he now assists Kamla Persad-Bissessar and Roger Alexander in intimidating, targeting, and attempting to silence those who speak out against the UNC's failures. And these failures are not small. Over 20,000 hard-working citizens recently lost their jobs after the government change. Mothers, fathers, youths, breadwinners, people who woke up one morning with hope and went to bed with nothing. While families are praying for a meal, praying for stability, praying for survival, Lyndon Mack is busy defending politicians who caused this suffering. Worse yet, when Kamla recklessly spoke about supporting the blowing up of fishing boats at sea, a statement that shook the moral core of this nation, Mack refused to stand on the side of humanity. Instead, he bowed deeper into political servitude. This is not leadership. This is not integrity. This is not righteousness. A spiritual message to all faiths. Whether you are Christian, Hindu, Muslim, spiritual Baptist, Orisha, Rastafarian, or any believer in truth, the principle is the same. Stand with the oppressed, not the oppressor. Defend the voiceless, not the powerful who crush them. Reject those who serve political gods instead of the real God. Do not support anyone who helps silence the cries of the suffering. Every faith teaches that evil prevails when good people stay silent. Every tradition teaches that justice is sacred. Every scripture warns against those who betray truth for power. Lyndon Mack has chosen political loyalty over moral courage. He has chosen silence over righteousness. He has chosen obedience to the UNC over service to the people. A call to the nation. Trinidad and Tobago must reject this kind of leadership. Reject the intimidation. Reject the hypocrisy. Reject the betrayal of the people who are already suffering. We must stand as one nation, one people, guided by faith, conscience, and moral principle, not by fear, manipulation, or political threats. Let the message ring clear. We will not support Lyndon Mack. We will not bow to oppression. We will not abandon truth for politics. And we will not let anyone silence the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
What is going on with Lyndon Mack?
Everybody, how are you doing? So earlier today, I had a message, sent a message that Miss Aliana 265, she was taken by masked men, by two SUVs, unmarked SUVs. She was at her mom's house and they know her husband knows her whereabouts, right? And all of this comes on the heel of Lyndon Mack's email. Hi Lyndon Mack, what was the reason you would have sent that email of the young lady's video to the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security? Why? Were you mandated to do that? Were you mandated to go around social media looking for anyone who is making threats to the government and the Prime Minister? Is that your job? Are you being paid for that? Do you even care that young lady is a mother and has two sons wanting to know where their mother is? Why are you only going after your own people? So many people on the UNC side is uttering such filth, such nasty, blatant racism. Why don't go after them? Why don't help your own? You know, the Minot and the MyPad that was making a dent and helping our people, those programs are gone. Now the youths have nothing to fall back on to teach them discipline, production. Why don't go to the government and rally to get those programs back for your people? You hate your people or something? What is the reason you are trolling and prowling social media, sending people's videos to the Minister of National Security, and then you're boasting and you're proud? I have never seen this madness before. What is going on with you, brother? What is going on with you? That ain't normal. Why you hate your own? Why you targeting your own people? And so far it's 2 women. 2 women. You have an identity crisis? What's going on? Tell me, brother, what is going on? Is this the house Negro slavery days 2.2025? What is going on with you? You have an inferior complex? You have something to prove? That could never be right. I would have said on my videos, it is wrong to make threats against the Prime Minister and the government ministers and the opposition ministers. But that doesn't give you the right to go and prowl the internet looking for people. You're trying to make a statement? I wish you well. I wish you all the best. May Elohim bless you, brother. May Elohim bless you.
concerning that. Neither tell you the extent that this man going down to. What you girl that making it threat? despite what this person didn't kill nobody. And a matter of fact, let me go into this because promise that we have to. So to you who have not heard the whole story concerning this whole misconception that Brother Mack sympathy. So we would have just played the part of the friend. And to those who are now coming out, their friend just is the friend.
With Lyndon Mack.
Earlier today, I had a message, sent a message that Miss Aliana 265, she was taken by masked men, by two SUVs, unmarked SUVs. She was at her mom's house and they know her husband knows her whereabouts, right? And all of this comes on the heel of Lyndon Mack's email. Hi, Lyndon Mack. What was the reason you would have sent that email of the young lady's video to the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security? Why? Were you mandated to do that? Were you mandated to go around social media looking for anyone who is making threats to the government and the Prime Minister? Is that your job? Are you being paid for that? Do you even care that young lady is a mother and has two sons wanting to know where their mother is? Why are you only going after your own people? So many people on the UNC side is uttering such filth, such nasty, blatant racism. Why don't go after them? Why don't help your own? You know, the Milat and the MyPad that was making a dent and helping our people, those programs are gone. Now the youths have nothing to fall back on to teach them discipline, production. Why don't go to the government and rally to get those programs back for your people? You hate your people or something? What is the reason you are trolling and prowling social media, sending people's videos to the Minister of National Security? And then you're boasting and you're proud. I have never seen this madness before. What is going on with you, brother? What is going on with you? That ain't normal. Why you hate your own? Why you targeting your own people? And so far it's two women. Two women. You have an identity crisis? What's going on? Tell me, brother, what is going on? Is this the house Negro slavery days 2.2025? What is going on with you? You have an inferior complex? You have something to prove? That could never be right. I would have said on my videos, it is wrong to make threats against the Prime Minister and the government ministers and the opposition ministers. But that doesn't give you the right to go and prowl the internet looking for people. You're trying to make a statement? I wish you well. I wish you all the best. May Elohim bless you, brother. May Elohim bless you.
Trinidad and Tobago, let's take this thing down a little bit.
Organization. Will Trinidad and Tobago's government follow suit? Will you also be deeming Nicolas Maduro and his government a terrorist organization?
I think the Honorable Prime Minister has been very clear that we as a sovereign nation determine our own foreign policy, and therefore that is a matter that will have to be discussed within the cabinet and if a decision is taken on this particular matter, but as of now, no.
So according to the cabinet's position right now, is Nicolas Maduro the legitimate president of Venezuela?
As I indicated before, those are matters as the geopolitics of the region changes from time to time. That will be up for discussion in terms of how we perceive Trinidad and Tobago's partnership. But we continue to have cordial bilateral relationship with Venezuela. The ambassador is still present here in Trinidad and Tobago. And
recently declaring Maduro's government a terrorist organization. Will Trinidad and Tobago's government follow suit? Will you also be deeming Nicolas Maduro and his government a terrorist organization?
I think the Honorable Prime Minister has been very clear that we as a sovereign nation determine our own foreign policy, and therefore that is a matter that will have to be discussed within the cabinet and if a decision is taken on this particular matter, but as of now, no.
So according to the cabinet's position right now, is Nicolas Maduro the legitimate president of Venezuela?
As I indicated before, those are matters as the geopolitics of the region changes from time to time. That will be up for discussion in terms of how we perceive Trinidad and Tobago's partnership. But we continue to have cordial bilateral relationship with Venezuela. The ambassador is still present here in Trinidad and Tobago, and I think that says quite a lot.
So as of right now, the cabinet does not have a position on whether or not Nicolas Maduro is the president of Venezuela, the legitimate president of Venezuela.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that those matters were up for discussion based on our geopolitics within the region. As you are aware, from time to time,
that there are too many instances before the court and in the public domain where not only allegations but evidence before in different criminal proceedings where justices of the peace are not only rubber stamping warrants, but where there were justices of the peace issuing search warrants without even name and address, giving it to the Trinidad and Tobago, some officers of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and they put the name on it when they want to enter your home. Mr. Speaker, we have to stand as watchdog against that kind of behavior. And we have to, Mr. Speaker, and we have to stand as watchdogs of that kind of behavior, especially when there is inference of political persecution from members opposite. When they point at,
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, 48-6, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. It's your nonsense. Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
population would want to know what would have been the circumstances and what is the guiding factor that would have caused the authorities in Trinidad and Tobago to get my name into the international community as a person who has issues with criminality in Trinidad and Tobago and is of such a nature that you require the involvement and assistance of Interpol. That officer who holds that desk of Interpol contact, if a matter comes up there of this nature, I would like to believe that no such action would be taken against any person without the senior superior officer being involved with appropriate oversight. And that senior superior officer, the Commissioner of Police, I would like to believe if the Commissioner of Police is in the loop, as he must be or ought to be, where a former Prime Minister of this country is to be put in the hands of Interpol and his name be put in international circles for law enforcement to take note and appropriate action if so required, that the National Security Council of this country could be appropriately involved. And it's on that basis that I'm putting this squarely in the lap of the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and the Commissioner of Police of Trinidad and Tobago and the Attorney General, who, it is my view, this development is the kind of development I would expect from the Attorney General of Trinidad and Tobago, an individual that I will get back to in the not too distant future. But for the moment, I just say to you that this is what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to say this to the wider national community, many of whom have taken sides one way or the other. I remember in 1929, there was something called the League of Nations, which was the precursor entity before the United Nations. And Emperor Haile Selassie had his country invaded by Italy. He appealed to the League of Nations for help and protection. They turned their back on him. And in so doing, destroyed whatever potential the League of Nations would have had to foster international peace. And in that moment of despair, Emperor Haile Selassie said these words. He said, "Today for me, tomorrow for you." And you didn't have to wait long. You didn't have to wait long for World War II to follow the outcomes of World War I. And I want to say to all the people of Trinidad and Tobago that what I experienced last week, today is my day. Your day will come. If these people are allowed to stamp and label Trinidad and Tobago in this way. Because you see, it is not only personal, it is national. Because whatever they may want to say, however you may want to view it, the one thing you could never erase from the history and the future of this country is that I was the Prime Minister of this country and I am the former Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. And when I held that office and all the other offices, I always did so with a caveat that I don't do it for myself. I do it for the greater good of the nation, to uplift the nation. And the fact that I, as Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, 2 months after I left office, this is the country where a Prime Minister could leave office and 3 months after, he is the subject of Interpol activity. Doesn't say much for Trinidad and Tobago, and it doesn't say
and between normal.
What you need to stop doing is lying to the public. It's not a joke to issue threats against other citizens and then calling it a joke. Right? It's not a joke to say you want the Venezuelan government to bomb Kamla and shoot 35 ministers. Maybe what you should do is educate yourself on the internet and stop making yourself look like a damn fool on the internet, trying to look for likes and fame when maybe that education ain't working for you. What you should do is get some education. It is treason and it is considered acts of sedition to be saying to a foreign or domestic entity to take the life out of another entity and say you're calling it parody and joke. You're full of nonsense. But wait, let me just educate you now, because although you pulled down your video, we have it, you know. I want you to remember what you said to the public, because what we want to say to you, get a nice attorney. That's what you need to do. Get an attorney at law and turn yourself in. That's what we want you to do. Don't make the police have to come and find you in. Alright. But in case you really forget, because I feel that is the issue here. You forget what you said on the internet, no problem. Let me remind you, because I had to remind you. That's what I want to do. I want to remind you, literally, of what you stated. Don't come and try to talk about you making it a joke. It was not a joke. That was not joke. But don't worry. Since you take down your video, let me remind you literally of what it sounded like.
Maduro, top of the morning. I hope this video reached you. My name is Aliana. I will introduce myself to you. But best believe, we Trinis don't want no drama with you. It's Kamla. She want to pretend she protecting Venezuela to get the oil, and she want to war you because she realized the Russians and the Chinese man and them dealing with you. And, you know, Trinidad and nothing. Trinidad gone bankrupt, I want to believe. I'm not sure you're seeing. But I just telling you, we Trinis like to drink and smoke and party. They talk about his drugs and his drugs and his drugs. She want to stop the drugs. Why she didn't stop the fucking rum? Because how we go hold our meditation? We like to drink, we like to do whatever. Uncle Maduro, I apologizing on the whole behalf of Trinidad and Tobago. Not the UNC party, I apologizing on fact because they could kill them too, because them pushy day.
I hope you hear that carefully. You could kill them too because them pushy day. So in other words, what you're saying, people do have a right to choice, and for all the people who voted for the UNC and wanted to bring in another government, another regime internationally, should kill them. That is your statement. Don't try to play it off as no joke. Take responsibility for your voice note. Take responsibility for your video. Because I want you to know that is what you call treason. That's what we wanted to understand. Okay? It's that serious. What all you need to do is be educated. Educate yourself on the internet. So what you want Maduro to do is bomb all the people probably who went out there to what? To vote for a new government inside, which is probably more than what? 100,000, 200,000. You want the whole of Trinidad and Tobago for that deaths around the place. And you are saying that that's a joke? Aliana, I hope you have a good attorney, you know? I hope you have a very, very good attorney. Just remember that, right? Turn yourself into the police. Okay.
But we who don't vote, the people who is the PNM, and the people that don't deal up with politics at all, which is, I fall in that category, we don't want no drama with you. Because look where I live in. I don't want to go to sleep with my children and wake up dead. If I wake up dead and my spirit watching my body on the ground, Maduro, I might dead in my spirit too. Listen, we have children down here. We just show your people love. Well, some of us, I mean, life hard, but we just make it do and we don't complain. It's Kamla and she 35 people in the cabinet want to flicking warrior for your thing. or for whatever reason, I don't know. But Kamla have a place in tongue, I don't know tongue good. You could, when you send any missile, send it right in that building there. And when you send a Cheva house in South, you could send it there too.
I just hope people taking the time to understand the illiteracy of this young lady. Because what she's saying is that the 35 ministers, we literally have 41, as a matter of fact, it's 39 seats in the House. 39 seats in the House. For people who supporting this idiot nonsense, she wants to wipe out the whole cabinet, which includes People's National Movement ministers too. That is what it is. I realize you're not too smart because I wasn't really checking what I was saying. But that's what I mean. You know what's really shocking about your video? You are claiming that you are a mother. That's what's shocking about your video, you know. You don't care about the 35 ministers, including the opposition, who have families and children. Send a missile and bomb them up. No, you should be arrested too. Bear the consequences of your actions. Same way Olive Jack sitting down in our jail cell right now, you need to also face the same consequences. That's what I wanted to know. You're going for Ian Allen? Don't worry, we're going to be coming out for you. We're coming out for you. That's what I want to tell you. Enjoy your day. Get an attorney. Remember I tell you, go and
Lyndon Mack has now stepped fully into the role of the UNC's lapdog, abandoning the people he once claimed to defend. Instead of standing up for truth, justice, and the cries of ordinary citizens, he now assists Kamla Persad-Bissessar and Roger Alexander in intimidating, targeting, and attempting to silence those who speak out against the UNC's failures. And these failures are not small. Over 20,000 hard-working citizens recently lost their jobs after the government change. Mothers, fathers, youths, breadwinners, people who woke up one morning with hope and with nothing. While families are praying for a meal, praying for stability, praying for survival, Lyndon Mack is busy defending politicians who caused this suffering. Worse yet, when Kamla recklessly spoke about supporting the blowing up of fishing boats at sea, a statement that shook the moral core of this nation, Mack refused to stand on the side of humanity. Instead, he bowed deeper into political servitude. This is not leadership. This is not integrity. This is not righteousness. A spiritual message to all faiths. Whether you are Christian, Hindu, Muslim, spiritual Baptist, Orisha, Rastafarian, or any believer in truth, the principle is the same. Stand with the oppressed, not the oppressor. Defend the voiceless, not the powerful who crush them. Reject those who serve political gods instead of the real God. Do not support anyone who helps silence the cries of the suffering. Every faith teaches that evil prevails when good people stay silent. Every tradition teaches that justice is sacred. Every scripture warns against those who betray truth for power. Lyndon Mack has chosen political loyalty over moral courage. He has chosen silence over righteousness. He has chosen obedience to the UNC over service to the people. A call to the nation. Trinidad and Tobago must reject this kind of leadership. Reject the intimidation. Reject the hypocrisy. Reject the betrayal of the people who are already suffering. We must stand as one nation, one people, guided by faith, conscience, and moral principle, not by fear, manipulation, or political threats. Let the message ring clear. We will not support Lyndon Mack. We will not bow to oppression. We will not abandon truth for politics. And we will not let anyone silence the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
What is going on with Lyndon Mack?
Everybody, how are you doing? So earlier today,
leadership in government is political power, and political power is an official form of antagonizing the people.
Politics, Father.
Necessarily. Politics. You don't. Do animals need passports? It's in Congress that in this atomic age of speed, we are shut in and shut out by passport. Does that exist?
No, you've got it all.
And free enterprise. Can I? Monopoly is the menace of freedom.
A bombshell. The U.S. Embassy has just dropped a bombshell, slamming Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander for attempting to weaponize American visas to silence critics against the government. The U.S. Embassy declared it alone controls who gets a U.S. visa. The U.S. Embassy also stated bluntly that the foreign politician has zero say. Does this humiliating rejection expose a government in chaos? You will let me know.
Due to the recent developments of this country, I am letting you all know I no longer have any opinions. I have no opinions on anything at all. I do not think they're locking up people all day. I have not one single opinion. I have never had an opinion, ever. Due to the recent developments of this country, I am letting you all know I no longer have any opinions. I have no opinions on anything at all. I do not think they're locking up people all day. I have not one single opinion. I have never had an opinion, ever.
Lyndon Mack.
Everybody, how are you doing? So earlier today, I had sent a message that Miss Aliana 265, she was taken by masked men by two SUVs, unmarked SUVs. She was at her mom's house and they know her husband knows her whereabouts, right? And all of this comes on the heel of Lyndon Mack's email. Hi, Lyndon Mack. What was the reason you would have sent that email of the young lady's video to the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security? Why? Were you mandated to do that? Were you mandated to go around social media looking for anyone who is making threats to the government and the Prime Minister? Is that your job? Are you being paid for that? Do you even care that young lady is a mother and has two sons wanting to know where their mother is? Why are you only going after your own people? So many people on the UNC side is uttering such filth, such nasty, blatant racism. Why don't go after them? Why don't help your own? You know, the Milat and the MyPad that was making a dent and helping our people, those programs are gone. Now the youths have nothing to fall back on to teach them discipline, production. Why don't go to the government and rally to get those programs back for your people? You hate your people or something? What is the reason you are trolling and prowling social media, sending people's videos to the Minister of National Security? And then you're boasting and you're proud. I have never seen this madness before. What is going on with you, brother? What is going on with you? That ain't normal. Why you hate your own? Why you targeting your own people? And so far it's two women. Two women. You have an identity crisis? What's going on? Tell me, brother, what is going on? Is this the house Negro slavery days 2.2025? What is going on with you? You have an inferior complex? You have something to prove? That could never be right. I would have said on my videos, it is wrong to make threats against the Prime Minister and the government ministers and the opposition ministers. But that doesn't give you the right to go and prowl the internet looking for people. You're trying to make a statement? I wish you well. I wish you all the best. May Elohim bless you, brother. May Elohim bless you.
So Trinidad and Tobago, here is where we come to the end of the program. I'm very sorry that, long time we used to entertain calls, but the phone line, there is something that is wrong. The phone, we had some corrosion within the phone line, so We're hoping to get that up and running as soon as possible. If we had to purchase a phone, so be it. Just to run that phone line per se, so to the many people that are outside there that have been viewing and looking and always cheering on within the comments. So Val, good night. And to the many of you that are outside there, good night. Thanks for joining us at such short notice. We are going to replay the explanation as to why we have said to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the thing with Olive Jack is wrong, wrong. And same thing with this individual. There are people, Trinidad and Tobago do have things like referendum in terms of voting on things within the public domain that is affecting us. I mean, all it takes is for the Prime Minister to say, well, there's where it is and there's where it is. We do not have no referendum within our constitution like Venezuela, where the people vote on certain things. That is what have Venezuela in the position that it is. Despite what, they have things like referendum. Something that Trinidad and Tobago don't have. So, in closing, a matter of fact, to the many of you that are outside there, thanks for watching, thanks for being a part, and to you that haven't seen the video with Olive Jack, in which we would have done the entire breakdown concerning this whole milieu, stay tuned. The video is about a half an hour where we would have dived straight into it. Stay tuned to it. Olive Jack is a hero and is not intimidated by the Prime Minister or none of their supporters. Olive Jack.
And you getting it twisted. You can't silence me. To talk lies on my page? Never. When the young man who came up on social media stated he could tie up the PNM supporters' hand with tying string and lock them up in a place that they can't go and vote on election day, that is a negative statement to society. When he stated that Mr. Kit Rowley should have been on the plane that crashed, so he too could die, that also a negative statement to society. Calling the women in CPEP, URP, and forestry programs skettle and good-for-nothing Negro women is a very, very disappointed statement to society. Closing down Milot and the CCC program for our black children to have a trade or a skill so they can help themselves, because not everybody born to have book work and to be on top in certain levels in life.
True.
They close on all these programs and call black people children good for nothing. All they know to do is stay on the block and smoke. But all the program Mr. Kit Rowley and his administration open for them not to smoke and waste their life. You close it down and then insult the parents that trying with their children. That is a negative impact on Trinidad and Tobago. You can't get me to talk anything different than what society is seeing and know. Kamla put us in the center of a war that we know nothing about because of power and greed. Now, Mr. Maduro stating that Trinidad have cartels running. She cartels. That's our next story, because if them can't get a thing to move the way they want it move, on how she promised them it go move and come to them, they go have problems. So she put us in her kankata and still don't want to answer where everybody's seeing all over the world with Trinidad and Tobago. Let me tell you something. Move your racial deceitful hypocrite, dotish self off of my page. You and your bunch of dotish racial group will never get me to bow, to say nothing about your boss or your prime minister than what the whole world already seeing. You're too racial and deceitful and hypocrite. Don't ever come back on my page. Go from here.
And ladies and gentlemen, that was Olive Jack. So the many of you that are watching me here live on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok, Twitch, but let me address those that are watching us on YouTube and the Workers' Rights 868 platform, or you show some love. Click the like button. Click the like button, send up the likes, the thumbs up button, click the thumbs up. You know, many of you would have viewed and keep viewing. You understand? Show some love and click the like button, the thumbs up button, right in the bottom of the screen right there. Click the thumbs up button and show some love. Tap the screen. Tap the screen. Right, I am a subscriber. Well, who is that is a subscriber? Solomon 8 3845. Okay, Solomon. 3845. Right. So send up the like button to those that are outside there that enjoy the broadcast. Send up the like button. Show some love. Show some love. Show some love. And this woman here, Olive Jack, is nothing short but a patriot, a hero. And such a statement, I ain't gonna lie, I would have liked to interview that woman. So the person that I would have reached out to today, I don't know, message me. We want to get a little more of this story so we could bring it to light on this platform. So the woman that would have talked about, you know, the missing person, she would have, you know, she left her child. Nobody don't know. Everybody know where Olive Jack is, as they would have said. But nobody don't know where the second person is. She would have just been abducted. No, none of the family member don't know where she are. People are just saying that, you know, it's the police, but nobody knows. Right, so that's the Olive Jack. So we are going to play the Olive Jack clip in which we would have done just a few days ago, explaining this whole situation and why and how the government is using false logic as to in jail and to imprison people. And we, Trinidad and Tobago, must stand against something like that. We can't just let the government do what they want. This is not just a free-for-all. It have rules of engagement. We have a constitution here in Trinidad and Tobago that, you know, the government decide to casually follow. We have a SOE that is taking place right now within this country that is not justified. We filter up our SOE and we put it on here. That is what we are getting here. And we are seeing people that is being held. They are using the SOE to abuse certain people or to hush up certain people. But I am very glad of the stance that the opposition is taking to not to protest as yet, because you're seeing what they are doing. They are going very far in the actions that they are taking in order to deal with some of the dissenters in Trinidad and Tobago. So to you, the people, again, thanks for watching and being a part of this program here. And it such short notice. And going forward, as of next year, we are going to run 24/7. Yes, 24/7. The only thing that might stop us is God. So other than that, under the blessings of the Almighty, we are going to run this thing 24/7. Thanks for watching and being a part of this broadcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Subscribe as well. So to you who have not liked the program, like it. Keep putting those thumbs up. Keep putting it up. And I am out. Thank you. Hey, my name is Venison Jeffrey. This is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live on the Workers' Rights Network. Just a few days ago, we would have witnessed the brute force by the government of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, many of you critics may have sided with the enforcement of the government, but we here on the Workers' Rights Platform did not. And we are going to dive into the logical explanation as to why. We are saying that this is not sedition. This is a direct attack on voices that is in opposition to what is going on right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Just a few days ago, on the 11th of November 2025, a detention order has been signed by the Minister of Homeland Security, Roger Alexander, to detain Olive Green Jack. These dictatorial leaders. We have been asking ourselves the question for many years. Why some of these guards and so forth, why when they would have seen the amount of suffering and carnage, why people didn't stand up and say anything about it? But today in Trinidad and Tobago, something is taking place that needs to be exposed. Many of the citizens here do not agree with this call to war by the government, and more importantly, by Kamla, Persad-Bissessar and the UNC. And any voices that have been raised against such is brutally victimized. And today we are going to break down this story and tell this Olive Green Jack story from a different angle. Olive Green Jack is not an opposer. She today is a hero in Trinidad and Tobago and should be recognized as such. So who is Olive Jack? Why she would have made such a statement, and why this action by the government of Trinidad and Tobago must be criticized. So we are going into that right now.
Why the order is unwarranted, unconstitutional, and not sedition. A detention order was recently issued against Olive Green Jack, a resident of Diego Martin, after she posted a picture of the Prime Minister's overseas residence and made comments on social media that authorities claim invited violence from Venezuela. The order further alleges that her comments created an imminent threat to public safety. She has now been taken to the women's prison under this administrative order. Workers' Rights 8688 is deeply concerned by the legal basis, constitutional validity, and democratic implications of this action. This newsletter explains, in clear, accessible language, why the detention order is not justified, why it does not meet the legal threshold for sedition, and how the reasoning used by the state fails both legally and logically.
Our constitution here in Trinidad and Tobago would have guarantees specific rights. The freedom of thought, the freedom of expression, the freedom of political opinion, and due process. Now this is something that we must not forget going forward within this video, because what this detention order would have done was take away due process. Now if truth and in fact this was warranted an arrest, why evidence have not been made public within the public domain? That sounds like an oxymoron, but there are many of you may not understand, so that's the reason why we need to break it down a little finer. So stay tuned, and we are going into the rest as we unfold.
1. What the state is claiming. According to the detention notice, the government alleges Olive Green Jack published posts addressed to the Venezuelan government. The posts attempted to influence foreign public opinion in a manner prejudicial to public safety. The comments invited violence upon the Prime Minister, the government, and the public. These actions created an imminent threat to public safety. Therefore, she is to be detained under a preventive detention order. On paper, these claims sound severe. In law, they fall apart completely.
Now, in sifting through the data, many of you would have seen what the state would have proposed that Olive Jack would have done here by allegedly posting a picture online, which we could prove that that is not true. She would have made a video, but the picture is something that wasn't true, but we won't go into that as yet. Now, the whole list that the state would have been alleging that Olive Jack would have done, we are going to sift through that and apply logic and legal argument so you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, could understand the position that the state would have taken and why they are wrong. Not the only time they are right, why they are wrong in this instant. Stay tuned.
2. Why this is not sedition. Under Trinidad and Tobago's Sedition Act, the state must prove all of the following: a clear intent to incite violence, disorder, or rebellion, a direct and deliberate call for unlawful action, a real possibility that the speech would lead to immediate public harm. None of these elements are met. 1. No intent to incite violence. The post shows no operational instruction, no planning, no coordination, and no call for real-world action. Harsh political speech is not sedition. Criticizing political leaders, even in strong language, is protected expression in any democracy. Intent cannot be guessed or assumed. It must be proven. No clear call to violence. A social media statement, even one made in anger, is not sedition unless it encourages real, immediate, and specific violence. Courts look for specific targets, plans, logistics, coordination, directives. None were present. Political speech not equal to criminal speech. The Constitution protects citizens' right to criticize political leaders, point out hypocrisy, and speak on matters of public concern. Political commentary, no matter how emotional, is not sedition.
Many of us would have joined the bandwagon and crying down Miss Olive Greenjack on an action that was taken on social media. But the state would have erred in many ways. Now this violent that they would have said that Olive Jack would have been capable of, was there specific targets? Was there plans? Was there logistics? Was there conditions? Was there directions? And the state would have failed to make its case as to prove the arrest of Olive Jack, being Roger Alexander signing this detention order. Now, I am not saying that the statement may not have been reckless, but it was political commentary. And we would have seen that, people would have made worse statements. But I am not here going to provide a two-way argument. But the mere fact that this detention order have been signed and no evidence have been proven, Trinidad and Tobago must be concerned. Because there is going to be times that you, Trinidad and Tobago, is going to be in opposition to what the government is saying. Is it that this year is an attempt to silence the voices of people that may be in opposition to what the government is saying, or the UNC? And this is a precedent that they are now setting within our beloved country of Trinidad and Tobago. This is the reason why we must stand against this. But again, let us go back and dissect what we are hearing and what we are seeing within the public domain without the influence of these notorious internet bullies and them that is paid to make political commentary.
3. Why the detention order is legally defective. Preventive detention is the most extreme tool the state has, short of criminal prosecution, and therefore must meet strict standards. No evidence of imminent threat. The state claims imminent danger but provides no facts showing a plan, a capability, a coordinated threat, involvement of any foreign actor. A social media post is not evidence of imminent threat. Accusation cannot replace evidence. The disproportionate use of state power. Even if the post was inappropriate, the state had many alternatives. A warning, a caution, a police interview, a request for removal, a regular criminal charge if they believed a law was broken. Jumping straight to detention without trial is disproportionate and excessive. 3. Violates constitutional rights. The Constitution guarantees freedom of expression, freedom of political opinion, due process of law, protection from arbitrary detention, equality before the law. A preventive detention order based on a political comment violates at least 3 of these rights. No clear chain of causation. The detention order assumes that the post could influence Venezuela, but it provides no proof that Venezuelan officials saw it. They responded to it. They interpreted it as a call to action. They intended to act. The allegation is speculative and unsupported.
Now, the legal jargons that we would have said within the commentary before, let me break this thing down now. There is no clear case of causation. Who Olive Jack was reporting to? What specific group that she would have said, hey, assassinate this one? Is there plans? People of Trinidad and Tobago, if you believe that Olive Jack is guilty for what she would have said within the public domain, we must then ask ourselves one question: how we would have arrived here so from a social media influencer that is aligned with the UNC? Or have I come up with that on my own? Have I listened to an opinion from a friend or a family that is in line with the UNC? If the answer to those questions are yes, no wonder why you would have came up with that opinion. Now, what I am asking you to do, Trinidad and Tobago, is to think logically and be truthful in the information that that you discover outside the limits of these organizations. I mean, we could continually say that the statement is worthless, but it was a political statement. I don't want war in Trinidad, and I is just one person. I would have talked to thousands of people concerning that, and they would have said the same thing. Just look at the analytics on this page. Just a few days ago, 800 people would have subscribed to this platform, knowing very well what we would have stand for, and still they would have subscribed nonetheless, because they are logical thinkers. And we are asking you, Trinidad and Tobago, stop. We have reached a point that information is well within the public domain. Know where you are gathering your information, and gather information outside of the pool that you are accustomed to, outside of your circle. Sometimes that is needed for you to see and understand the truth. So let's go back right into the video and let's break down what you already know logically.
4. The logical fallacies in the government's argument. Crossmark non sequitur. They assume that because a post was public, it was addressed to the Venezuelan government. Posting something publicly does not mean it was directed at a foreign state. Crossmark appeal to fear. They claim disaster will follow from the post without showing how or why. Fear cannot substitute for evidence. Crossmark slippery slope. They suggest one post will trigger international violence. This is an exaggerated leap with no factual support. Crossmark circular reasoning, begging the question. They argue a threat exists simply because the detention order says so. The order cannot prove itself true.
The question now that must be asked is what this really looked like. Because if this detention stands, then any frustrated citizens on social media could be jailed. Political criticism could be reclassified as public danger. Or you see the rabbit hole that we are going down. Fear becomes a tool of control. government accountability collapses. This is why civil society groups must speak out. This is not just about Olive Jack here again. This is about you. When you are in opposition to the government, could they reclassify your statement as public danger? Again, nobody. Many of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago is not in alignment to what when the Prime Minister say that, with this thing with Maduro and the war situation, civil society needs to speak out. Don't let the Prime Minister of this country, because of your love for her, some of you love her, and nothing wrong with that. But don't let that be, don't let your love for the Prime Minister leave her out of scrutiny, fair scrutiny. So, what should happen next? We here, the workers' rights, we call for an immediate legal review on the detention order, release of Olive Jack pending judicial determination is something that was done with CPEP. In defending the rights of all citizens against unlawful state power in this case. So regardless to the fact
when he stated that Mr. Keith Rowley should have been on the plane back on my page. Go from here.
So be warned, they will use this law against all their opponents, whether it's religious, civil society, politicians, they will come against us. And I stand to say we must not be afraid to speak out against this government. A lot of countries have now abolished this sedition law. It's old. Yes, it's old. But what was the intent? The intent was to shut up people, to prevent people from protesting against bad conditions. Is the intention of the law. That law has no place in our independent democratic country. So we have... What the hell you should be doing is locking them up. Put them behind bars. Put them behind bars. Put them behind bars. I say no more. This is just too disgusting. And there must be, I think one of you called for an investigation, Rudy. There must be a serious investigation, not by the TTPS, but by an independent body, as to how police could be negotiating peace deal with bandits.
Minister, pardon us, we saw a woman was arrested for comments that she made via social media, which according to the detention order may have incited violence against the government. What is the government's response to her arrest?
It should have come sooner. What I can say is that we have seen time and time again public officials, and you saw it happen in the former administration as well. There's only so far that you can go in terms of putting the lives of public officials and private citizens at risk by putting up the Prime Minister's residence. Her location puts her at a tremendous risk, and therefore that's why I said it took long in coming, but it is justifiable.
Lyndon Mack has now stepped fully into the role of the UNC's lapdog, abandoning the people he once claimed to defend. Instead of standing up for truth, justice, and the cries of ordinary citizens, he now assists Kamla, Persad-Bissessar and Roger Alexander in intimidating, targeting, and attempting to silence those who speak out against the UNC's failures. And these failures are not small. Over 20,000 hard-working citizens recently lost their jobs after the government change. Mothers, fathers, youths, breadwinners, people who woke up one morning with hope and went to bed with nothing. While families are praying for a meal, praying for stability, praying for survival, Lyndon Mack is busy defending politicians who caused this suffering. Worse yet, when Kamla recklessly spoke about supporting the blowing up of fishing boats at sea, a statement that shook the moral core of this nation, Mack refused to stand on the side of humanity. Instead, he bowed deeper into political servitude. This is not leadership. This is not integrity. This is not righteousness. A spiritual message to all faiths. Whether you are Christian, Hindu, Muslim, spiritual Baptist, Orisha, Rastafarian, or any believer in truth, the principle is the same. Stand with the oppressed, not the oppressor. Defend the voiceless, not the powerful who crush them. Reject those who serve political gods instead of the real God. Do not support anyone who helps silence the cries of the suffering. Every faith teaches that evil prevails when good people stay silent. Every tradition teaches that justice is sacred. Every scripture warns against those who betray truth for power. Lyndon Mack has chosen political loyalty over moral courage. He has chosen silence over righteousness. He has chosen obedience to the UNC over service to the people. A call to the nation. Trinidad and Tobago must reject this kind of leadership. Reject the intimidation. Reject the hypocrisy. Reject the betrayal of the people who are already suffering. We must stand as one nation, one people, guided by faith, conscience, and moral principle, not by fear, manipulation, or political threats. Let the message ring clear. We will not support Lyndon Mack. We will not bow to oppression. We will not abandon truth for politics. And we will not let anyone silence the people of Trinidad and Tobago.